Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to deconstruct the surprising science behind one of the purest forms of motorsport out there, the go-kart. So, you look at this thing and you have to wonder, how on earth does this tiny machine corner at such incredible speeds? Well, the secret, it turns out, is all in its simplicity. It might look basic, but believe me, every single part is engineered to solve a very specific physics puzzle. All right, let's get down to the basics. The amazing thing about a go-kart is really what it doesn't have. It's a machine that's been stripped down to the absolute bare essentials, all in the name of pure, unadulterated speed. Now, your car's chassis is basically just a rigid frame. A go-kart's chassis, no. It's more like a precisely engineered spring. It's designed to be incredibly stiff in some ways, but also to flex and twist in very specific other ways. And this controlled flexibility is absolutely fundamental to how a kart works, as we're about to see. And this is where it gets really interesting. The two big things a go-kart is missing, suspension and a differential. The fact that there's no suspension means you feel every single bump, but it also means the chassis itself has to do all the work. And the lack of a differential, well, that creates the big puzzle the entire kart is built to solve. Okay, so you've got this small but surprisingly powerful engine, and it's connected by a simple chain straight to a solid rear axle. And that right there, that solid axle, is everything. I mean everything. Both rear wheels are locked together, forced to spin at the exact same speed, no matter what. You gotta remember that, because it's the key to this whole puzzle. So all these parts, the engine, the chassis, that axle, they all come together right where the rubber meets the road. I'm talking about grip, of course. And with a machine this raw, this direct, the driver's job is just a constant balancing act, trying to maximize this incredibly precious resource. So here's the deal. Grip is a finite resource. It's kind of like a budget, you know? You can spend that budget on turning, or braking, or hitting the gas. But if you get greedy and try to do too much at once, like braking hard while turning sharply, you're going to overspend that budget. And when you do, the tires just give up and you're going for a spin. And this just shows you that constant dance of physics that's happening in a kart. It's so simple. Wherever the weight goes, the grip goes with it. You slam on the brakes, wham, weight shifts forward, giving your front tires more bite to turn in. You mash the accelerator, and the weight shifts back, giving those rear tires the traction you need to launch out of the corner. It's this dynamic system the driver is playing with the whole time. And that is why the best drivers look so incredibly smooth. They're not just being gentle, they're managing that limited grip budget with finesse. Any sudden jerky move, it's like trying to yank a rug out from under your own feet. It just shocks the tires, breaks their connection to the track, and you lose precious speed. Smoothness is speed, period. Okay, so now let's get to the main event, the central puzzle of karting. How in the world do you make this thing turn when the rear wheels are locked together? This is where this simple little machine reveals its hidden genius. So here it is, the core challenge. A normal car has this clever little device called a differential that lets the outside wheel spin faster than the inside one in a turn. A go-kart? Nope. It has that solid axle we talked about. Simple, strong, light, but it creates a massive, massive headache in the corners. Think about it. When you go around a corner, that inside wheel has a much shorter trip than the outside wheel, right? But that solid axle is screaming at them, you will both rotate at the same speed. So something's got to give. The inside tire ends up getting dragged and scraped across the track, which creates this awful understeer and just kills all your momentum. So what's the solution? And here it is. This is the big aha moment. The entire go-kart, that flexible chassis we mentioned earlier, its whole job is to solve this one problem. As the driver turns, the kart's geometry and the chassis flex work together to literally lift that inside rear tire just a few millimeters off the ground. And just like that, it's free. The outside tire can now do all the work of turning. The kart basically becomes a three-wheeler right in the middle of the corner. How cool is that? So, okay, if the kart is this magical machine that lifts its own wheel, what's left for the driver to do? Well, this leads us to a really fun debate among karters. Should you be using your body weight to influence how the kart handles? The big question is this. To get the most out of a corner, should a driver lean into the turn, like you would on a motorcycle, or should you lean out? This sparked a great discussion, and it turns out there's no single easy answer. All right, so one school of thought says you lean out, away from the corner. And the logic is pretty straightforward. You're shifting your body weight onto that outside rear tire, the one that's doing all the work. You're physically pressing it harder into the track. More weight equals more grip. Makes sense, right? But then you have another camp, and this is especially true for drivers in the super high-performance karts. They say, whoa, hold on, don't complicate things. Their argument is that you should just stay planted in your seat and let the chassis do its job. A really well-tuned kart is designed to work perfectly with the driver sitting still. If you start leaning all over the place, you might actually mess up that delicate balance and keep the inside wheel from lifting like it should. But what's really cool is where pretty much everyone agrees. For those rental karts that most of us have probably driven, yeah, leaning out is absolutely the way to go. See, those karts are built like tanks. They're heavy, their frames are super stiff, and the tires are as hard as rocks. They have a really tough time getting that inside wheel to lift on their own. So by leaning out, you, the driver, are actually providing the extra force the chassis needs to flex and finally get the kart to turn. So in the end, is driving fast all about physics, or is it about feel? Well, it's both. The go-kart is this perfect marriage of the two. Understanding all this stuff, the weight transfer, the chassis flex, the grip, that gives you the why. It tells you what the kart is trying to do. But the truly great drivers, they take that knowledge and internalize it until it becomes instinct. They can just feel that perfect moment when the inside wheel goes light and the kart pivots, and they just flow through the corner in this beautiful high-speed dance between driver and machine.